Welcome back to another Odd Popcorn for that review. I'm Chris.
And I'm Nick.
And guys, if you're just now stopping in with us, if you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love to have you. We got videos like this coming out every week. So, with that being said, the review for the day is going to be The Passenger. So, this was just released on MGM Plus, and I believe you can see it on Amazon too. But it's directed by Carter Smith. I actually didn't look and see. They don't have a huge. I don't think I've seen any other movies though, but not a first time director. And it's a small cast. It's mostly starring Johnny Birchtold as Bradley or Randy, and Kyle Gallner as Benson, and Liza Wheel as Miss Beard. That's kind of the main cast here. Unusual little movie. Um, what did you think about it?
This is definitely my kind of movie. I liked
Yeah,
it
I
a
did like it.
dude, I liked it a lot. I mean, obviously it has some flaws, but I liked it a lot. The whole story is basically should I get into it?
Yeah, I guess let's start off with like
I'll give you
spoiler free
yeah, like an
thoughts. But
overall
yeah,
it's basically like a
hmm
guy who has kind of a mental break helping a guy get over some childhood trauma that has led him to lead this like plain life where he doesn't want to make any choices for himself because he's afraid of how
almost like
it's
a
gonna
Beau is Afraid kind of character.
a
I mean,
little
in a
bit.
way, younger.
Yeah.
I mean, not. It doesn't really remind me of that character, but just you very much a character that's like super timid to a fault and lets
Yeah,
people walk all over him.
way less neurotic about it though, just kind of scared of not scared of everything like Bo was, but he just
He wants to
doesn't
just
want to
keep to
do
himself,
anything.
and
Yeah.
yeah, he wants to just keep to himself and do his job. And like in really early on, like the manager calls him out as somebody who does their job really well, and it's almost like accusatory. Like, what is it with you that makes you work so hard at this stupid job?
Yeah, 'cause it's
You
just
know, like
like a
nobody else
burger
cares about this
store.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a Burger King essentially. And I thought it was interesting too. Like it's kind of a different kind of angle to take it, where it's like it's not a guy that gets picked on a bunch that finally snaps. It's a guy who we don't even meet until he snaps. Essentially, like, and his reason for snapping is sort of like he can't stand watching this kid get picked on anymore. You
Yeah.
know, so it's a very like I haven't really seen that kind of take before, where it's like this guy just can't stand to watch this kid get picked on anymore, and he finally stands up and does something. But boy, does he do something, huh?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, it escalates pretty quick. I mean, I don't think this is spoilers yet because the movie's got to happen at all. And if you watch the trailer at all, and I know a lot of people probably haven't even seen a trailer for this. I don't think it got advertised well or marketed well. But
Yeah, I just saw a trailer on it for YouTube at one point and watched it. I was like, I definitely want to see
yeah,
this.
I don't even think I saw like a movie theater trailer for it. But I mean, I guess that makes sense because it's not released in theaters. Uh, but yeah, and by the way, good to see. I like that Kyle Gallner guy.
Hmm.
I don't remember like what I've seen him on specifically. I could have looked it up, but he was kind of big in like the horror movie scene in I want to say like early 2000s or something. I just can't put my finger on the name of the movie or
And that was
movies.
Bradley
No, the one who actually like loses his mind,
Benson.
Benson. Yeah,
Yeah, he was also the ex-boyfriend detective in Smile.
right. And he was on a movie I saw a couple years ago called Red Eye. I was real late to the party on that one. I don't know if many
Mm.
people watched that, but that's another like Killian Murphy movie
Oh yeah,
that
I've
I thought
seen that.
was fun. And he's on Jennifer's Body, which I haven't seen, and one of the newer Scream movies. So he's kind of having a moment right now. But yeah, he essentially, you know, not too far into the movie, he's grabbing a shotgun out of the back of his car and kills two of his coworkers and his boss. And this is real early on in the movie. So I mean, most of the story takes place after he's done this, and they're basically just like, well, nobody else is supposed to come in for however many hours. And if we're lucky and we get this guy that comes in next, he's just gonna take it as like a blessing, like, thank God I got a spare day off,
Yeah.
and not even unlock the door. So we could have most of the day to just do whatever we want. And they kind of use it as like a, I don't know, how would you put it? Like he almost uses it as like a self help
Basically,
treatment
yeah,
for
it's
this
like
kid.
he's like we're gonna figure out. He kind of like wants him to become better and like figure out what he wants to do and everything and stop being a pushover. And he's
And
basically
in a
just
sense,
asking him.
he's to some degree he's successful at that.
Yeah.
You know, at kind of getting Benson out of his or not Benson. Randy
Randy, yeah.
out of his shell a little bit. But and there's a crazy thing that we get to, which you should see this movie. And so, I mean, anything beyond here that we're saying, we're kind of getting into spoilers. All you really need to know is like what we just said. Like, there's these two guys. They both work at this fast food restaurant. They don't even appear to be friends before this. It's
Mhm.
just like they both work there, and this is the the the, the instigating event that brings them together is Benson getting that shotgun out of his car and killing the boss and the two coworkers. So now they're on this mission together, whether Randy likes it or not. They're on this thing together, and everything they come across, like every little problem in his life that he brings up, like we're gonna tackle these one at a time. So
Yeah.
even if it's something he totally doesn't want to ever breach again, his ex girlfriend or whatever. But the biggest one is he mentions at one point to Benson that he was held back at one point in school, and he's like, "Oh man, which grade did you fail?" And he's like, "Oh, I was held back in second grade." And Benson just thinks that's hilarious at first, and then the topic gets brought up again, and it's like, "Well, no, there's a story here. Actually, I was held back in second grade because they were playing like, um,
Like the football game where you flick
yeah,
a
like the
eraser in between the fingers like a
yeah,
goalpost.
usually it's folded up paper, but in their case, I guess they were using pencil erasers, and they got in trouble, but Benson got in trouble, or
Randy.
uh, Randy got in trouble more than anyone else, and he was like the one that did this the least often. Like everybody's doing this all the time, and when they finally get called out, he's the one doing it, and he was so upset that he's the only one to get in trouble for this that he kind of in the heat of the moment he puts a pencil eraser on a plastic ruler and flings it as hard as he can at the teacher's face and hits her in the eye, and at first it's like, oh, she just has to go to the doctor and it's a thing, but she gets I guess an infection and ends up losing the eye, and her name was Miss Beard, so that gives her the unfortunate nickname of Miss Blackbeard, and in Randy's mind, this has just ruined her life. It's made it where she's unmarriable. She'll never have children. Her life, as she knows it, is ruined and everything.
Yeah, she like left
And
her job for a while because
mhm.
everybody was, even teachers were like making fun of her and stuff.
And of course, that's the little kid perspective. I mean, the
Mm.
real story is, but he brings this up, and it's like Benson's immediately like, well, we're gonna find her, and we're gonna make amends with her or whatever. So they do find her, but everywhere they go along this journey, like Benson's presence does make the thing more awkward than it even has to be.
It
Like it's
adds
like
like a tension to everything because he's a little off the handle. You don't know what he's gonna do because like it seems like he's trying to be friendly towards Randy, but at the same time he's definitely like can. It seems like he's controlling him as well. Like they go to Benson's house to where they can change clothes out of the bloody clothes from the fast food thing, and he's like, "Don't touch anything." And Benson's mom asks Randy for the phone, and he kind of reluctantly gets it. And then as he's about to hand it to her, Benson shows up and like slams him into a wall. And is like, "I told you not to touch anything."
and I mean, you can tell, like, I think Benson's mom was about to call the police or something in that moment because she sees the blood on Randy's clothes, and she's like, "What's that on your clothes?" And he says it's like ketchup or something. She's like, "That doesn't look like ketchup."
Mm-hmm.
And pretty soon after that, she's like, "Let me just see that phone. I gotta make a phone call." And she had just gotten done saying like, "That doesn't look like ketchup," like a handful of times. It's like
Yeah.
that's not ketchup. Let's just get real. Um, but yeah, so there's like there's this extra. I think a lot of this movie is pretty. I mean, not in a bad way. Like it's going for this, but like pretty painfully awkward sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, everywhere they go, it's like Benson's along for this journey, and nobody can figure out why he's there, and he can't really explain it very well either. It's like, oh yeah, this is just my friend from work, and everybody's kind of like, yeah, your friend's making me nervous, man.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, when they meet the teacher, I would say things get. What's the big thing that happens with the teacher where it's like, oh, it's really on now, like because there's a point where she does find out what's going on exactly, but I can't remember where like the switch gets flipped. But
So I think we got to start a little bit with they how they find her is they go to the elementary school that it happened at that she's back teaching at, and
yeah,
like
we do have to start here. Yeah.
uh they kind of go to the office and there's a lady there and they're asking about it, and she's like, well, I can't give out that information. And Benson's kind of like, well, do you know who this is? this is Randy Bradley. And she's like, oh my lord.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're moving to the city tomorrow, and he just really wants to talk. He needs to talk to her. And she's like, well, I really shouldn't do this, but
Yeah,
okay.
once she knows who he is and the like his relation to her and everything, she
Yeah,
does give it. And then yeah, and then
like,
not long after that, and we don't ever get to know more about this. You have to kind of piece it together yourself, but I think there's enough for you to piece it together yourself.
yeah,
But there's like a principal or another teacher or something that walks in, and Benson recognized him immediately, and he's like, "Did you used to work at some other school, whatever?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, do I know you?" And I don't know, and you can see that Benson for sure recognizes him, and it's a bad memory, but he
mm-hmm.
doesn't go any further with it. And then when they're done getting the address and everything from the lady at the front desk, he just immediately goes out and really beats that guy within an inch of his life. Uh, so I mean, my interpretation of that was that he has been abused in some kind of
Yeah.
way. You can kind of figure out um, by this teacher when he was younger. But he almost, I mean, he like puts that guy in the hospital, like really beats him within an inch of his life, and so uh, they leave straight from there to go meet the teacher, Miss Beard, and she gets a phone call like while she's having this.
Yeah,
You
like,
know, it actually it's going well, you know,
yeah,
but
like,
while she's having this conversation with them,
and Randy's like apologized, and like you can tell from the get go that she like never held anything against him, and he's like thought his entire life that he hated her for whatever
mm-hmm.
happened, but it turned out like she's like, these things happen, and it led to me having my daughter, meeting this guy, and having my daughter, and it's like the best thing in my life is my daughter.
Yeah, her character was a really welcome
Hmm.
aspect to this movie because like we didn't get, you know, you've got this very awkward kid who like means well and is trying his best, but like the world's just really not treating him nicely right now, and it never
Yeah,
has really. And you
and
got Benson. She was kind of a nice relief because it's like she's somebody who's turned the situation around and has generally like a positive attitude and everything. It's made her maybe more trusting than she
it's
should have been in this scenario, but
yeah, and it's kind of given a spark to Randy, I think, to finally like do a little something for it. Like maybe things aren't so bad. Maybe I can make some decisions. And he like kind of one thing he does is she's on the phone and Benson's in the restroom like washing his hands because it's they're all busted up and bloody. And he like
mm-hmm.
grabs her phone because Benson has had his phone this whole time and like he hides her phone in his jacket pocket. And then yeah, I think Benson comes back from the bathroom and they had mentioned to her like, oh, we got your address from the school today.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets that call about the vice principal being beaten in the parking
Yeah,
lot.
she even says like, "Did you see anything happen in the parking lot?" They're like, "No."
And this was the part to me where I was like, they could have just been like, nah, and left, but Benson has to be like, like his hand on his face and stuff with his knuckles, just like cuts on his knuckles and stuff, and it's like very
Right.
obvious he did it.
So it kind of gives him away, yeah. And then there's like a callback to an earlier part in the movie at the end where there was a waitress who's very nice to them and everything when they're just like they as soon as they leave from the shooting, they go to a restaurant. He's like, "Let's stop and get some food." And they're at this restaurant, and this lady's super nice to them and everything. And then Benson just, I don't remember exactly what he says, but he kind of leans into her about how she's like never done anything with her life and never going to amount to anything. And don't you want to something different from your life besides what this little nothing of a town can offer you, and you just work your 9 to 5 and just over and over, and you get stuck in the loop and whatever.
And I think that was him
And
trying to show Randy like this is gonna be you if you don't do
yeah,
anything.
but I mean the he kind of gets checked on his like reality check on his little thesis there
Yeah,
because you know she comes back at the end. They're back in the same diner again, and everything's fine. And then she comes up and she's like, you know what? You don't get to talk to me like that. You know, you don't know what I've been through. You don't know what life I've had and whatever. And because he was very unfairly. I mean, she hadn't done anything to. You know, he's an interesting character because like you can tell like he wants more out of life, and like you can relate. There's like little glimmers of where you can relate to him, but then
hmm
you remember that he's like somebody that was willing to murder somebody without a second thought, and like he must have some sort of like illusions of grandeur about himself. Like he kind of seems to think that he's like better than everybody else or something. Like if you stay in this little nothing of a town and just keep your little nothing of a job, then you're not as good as me or as important as me in a way. You know what I mean? There was
yeah.
some level of
And it's like
he's a
he's
complex
doing the
character anyway.
exact thing because he's working at the same restaurant and not doing anything with his life either. It seems like.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, he barely speaks. He's just mopping the floors for the whole
Yeah.
beginning of the movie. But yeah, so she comes out and I, you might have to tell me a little bit with the details here, but she gets shot by him pretty early on
Yeah, so
in the leg.
he was gonna kill the teacher at the house, and then Randy is like, no, she has nothing to do, like no reason to kill her, and then he takes her with them, and they basically just end up back at this diner because Randy's like, I've got to go to the bathroom, I haven't gone all day.
Which is really like him like having a mental breakdown in there. Or well, no,
Well, no,
Benson does, I
that's
guess.
yeah, Benson's kind of freaking out. He doesn't know what to do. Like I feel like he thinks he can get away and not get caught, but they're staying in the same town. If he
Maybe
wanted to
we
get
should
away,
maybe we should leave the very very end for the imagination. But
yeah.
I will say one little thing about the end, and I don't have many complaints about this movie. I mean, it's not perfect or anything like that, but like the things that hold it back aren't glaring or like worth talking about for the most part. But there was this one little thing that was getting on my nerves at the end, where like the cops have been called.
Yeah. Yeah.
The cops show up in the parking lot, and man, this is a pretty serious situation. You could tell that's a pretty serious situation from looking at it from the parking lot, and the cops just stay out in the parking lot for as long as the monologue at the end needs to go. Like, and I was
Yeah.
thinking, man, they would have busted in by now. Golly, we're just sitting here having a monologue. I mean,
I was thinking that too, but at the same time, I thought it was gonna be a bunch of cops. It was only two cops, and like he's
maybe you
standing
wouldn't
there
have.
like staring at them through the window while he's talking, and then there's like two people over
Yeah,
here, two people over here, so like maybe they don't know
maybe
who's
for
in
the sake
there.
of their own safety, they would
Eh,
give it its space or whatever. But you'd think somebody'd been on a megaphone or something. I know
Yeah,
movies
yeah,
movies got to happen. That's ultimately what it is. But
because it's like a
uh,
hostage situation. I was thinking the megaphone part too, but yeah.
I mean, it's a very much a nitpick. It doesn't make the movie any worse or anything like that.
Hmm.
But that was one little thing for me. But for the most part, yeah, this movie's great. Like
Yeah.
a lot of practical effects, not a lot of CGI needed. Not
Fuck.
that not that CGI. I know we mentioned that a lot. Not that CGI
Yeah.
makes a movie bad or something, but this
There
was a
was
movie that needed practical effects in it, and that's what it got.
and there was like a Tarantino level amount of blood in like the scenes where people got shot and stuff, which
Yeah, this movie
I enjoyed.
certainly does not hold back with anything. Um, Certainly earns its R rating. But I think there's something, like there's an interesting story here, and there's
Hmm.
stuff to be gleaned from this. It's just, obviously like the message isn't like best way to learn a lesson about how to stand up for yourself is
Right.
partner up with a murderous homicidal maniac. Um, but yeah, just a unique kind of story, and it was good to see something like that. And also in a week where, for me, in a week where the other movie was a little bit disappointing or a little bit underwhelming. Yeah, this surprised me and kind of this was the better of the two for me.
Yeah.
Uh,
What would you give it?
I think I would give it. I think I'd either give it like a high 7 or an 8.
Yeah.
Probably an 8 because yeah, it's better than 7.5. I'd give it an 8.
Yeah, I think
What
I'd
about
give
you?
it like an 8.5. I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, this is a good one, and it's unfortunate that I don't think a lot of people are gonna see it. So
Yeah.
give this one a shot if it sounds interesting to you at all. Give it a shot because yeah, little movies like this you know need some eyeballs on them too. Let the world know that we're interested in more than just big blockbuster movies.
Right.
Yeah. So the next, let's see, what is coming next? The next movie is going to be
Landscape of the Invisible Hand.
Landscape with Invisible Hand. Yeah, another unusual looking one that you should definitely check out if that sounds interesting to you. These more unusual movies, I think they need all the help they can get.
Hmm.
um, but yeah, we don't know what we're getting ourselves into yet. But that's the movie coming out next. If you have had a chance to check out this movie, comment below and let us know how you feel about it. Or maybe if not, maybe just let us know some movies that have flown under the radar that you think we should talk about. And yeah, like this if you like this kind of thing. Share it with your friends. And again, remember to subscribe if you haven't already. We would love to have you. And yeah, thanks for watching as always, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
We'll see you.